This technique is boom time at the moment in terms of the buyer's market. People are very, very interested in portraiture, especially black portraiture. It is, now, portraiture generally, basically, it's a European phenomenon, originally associated with the royals. The royals, the people, nobility, would get their paintings painted. And then in the 18th century and 19th century, when you had the rise of sciences and the arts, you'd suddenly go around Europe and you'll see a portrait or a sculpture of a major scientist or a major literary scholar or a major politician. Okay, that was boom time. The idea of basically commemorating people, great people, was the important thing about portraiture. But then portraiture became an everyday phenomenon. Now, what I always find fascinating, and it goes back to my first comment, remember I said we were all in lockdown and we didn't know what the hell was going on. But what's interesting in that time was a global shift in ethics, as I said, and a need for a reappraisal of the rights of Black life and the positioning of their art and their story in world art history. So it pretty much happens around that time. It's in that time as well we start seeing the boom, and I mentioned Amawaka Buafo. I meant the boom of black portraiture. We saw that, we see that in America, we see that across Europe, we see it certainly right across Africa. Suddenly everybody's buying black portraiture. Now think about it. In your home, you might have the picture of Jesus on the cross, or you might have a wedding picture of you and your husband or family or near family members. But it's pretty much it. Basically the idea of people is very much connected to what it is that we know and what's most personal to us in our lives. Now people are collecting arbitrary abstract images of black people and plonking up on their walls. What the hell does this mean? We can't say, oh, this was a great matriarch or have a story or whatever. No, it's just like suddenly, I'm not kidding you, it becomes this whole thing, wholesale, complete accommodation and consumption of black life. Now, for me, it's not because I'm a cynic. I'm not a cynic. But I do find the commodification of the black body deeply concerning. Because for me, it's another manifestation of the slave trade. So I mean, I don't want to go into the dark side of things, but there is that side to it. There is that side to it. And then there's the other side. The other side is the side of just the celebration, of human life, in this case, black life specifically. And I think what's happening over here in these work by Nkosi is basically, because these are very much iconic symbols. If you think about the way it's painted, for example, it's very transfigurative. It's the idea, the sense of a body moving between places. That's somebody gazing at you, holding your attention. So it's transfigural. So therefore, as a presence, it has a certain kind of element of mystique and even of religiosity in terms of sort of the sensations that it might produce. The others could just be climactic in another way, but I'm not going to go there. But what I'm saying about these issues are basically, so there's no sense that the body is abstract, but there's enough viscera, tactility and feeling for us to connect to it and accommodate it in our homes. That's what I'm saying. It's sort of, this is the technique that's being used by this painter to not allow for overstatement, over-representation, just enough of a sensation. And I feel that's very strong in this one, because of course the dominant thing that's happening over here is that the works are in motion. And the motion is absolutely central to the way in which this painter is actually trying to tell the stories. Everything's seen fleetingly, momentarily. So he's not trying to fix in an iconic form in the way, for example, that black life is represented over there iconically. This one's actually working differently. It's trying to create, here we do know the idea is iconic, the idea in this case of the matriarch. But mother and child, in terms of biblical religiosity, for example. But this mother and child is on the move. But the movement is not simply, could also potentially be a fleeing. It could be feeling away from something rather than simply moving towards something because of the nature of the painting technique. So what's happening over here is a sense of restlessness, a sense of ecstasis. Ecstasis is basically an outer body experience. Ecstasy, experiencing ecstasy, you're not in your body, it's out of your mind. The whole idea. So that ecstatic feeling that you feel. So that sense of ecstasis is very much a key kind of influence in the way in which this particular painter understands the expression of black life. And what's important then about that is that the ecstatic nature of life frees us from two things, from the spectacularized, iconic story, or from the everyday, ordinary story, into another dimension of what it means to be a human body. A human body is a spirit, a human body is a feeling, a human body is a sensation. All the things that, I'm sorry again, that basically because people don't look at people, I'm sorry, they just look at types. So they don't understand that human beings have lives and of complex emotions. So this is what's being captured in this particular artist's work.